everyone, this is Bergman, founder and CEO of IRA Financial. Welcome to another episode of AdBits, where I will be sharing bits of knowledge about self-directed retirement. If you want to learn more, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on social media. Just search IRA Financial. Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of AdBits. I'm Bergman, tax attorney and founder of IRA Financial. And on today's episode, I want to talk about solo 401k InPlan service withdrawal rules. One of the more popular questions I receive from clients over the years is, how can I get money out of a 401k? It's shocking to many 401k participants that they do not have 100% access to their 401k funds. Unlike an IRA, where you can pull the money out of your IRA at any time you want, subject to tax and a 10% penalty if under the age of 59 and a half, in the case of a 401k plan, you may not be able to take money out of your 401k plan even if you want to. Those are known as the InPlan service withdrawal rules. How do you get money out of your 401k plan legally and with permission from your 401k administrator? Now, the first thing I'll say is most of what I'm about to say in general terms applies to most of the 401k plans out there. Now, each 401k plan is governed by its basic plan document, adoption agreement, and plan summary document. However, in general, there's only 3 ways that you can get money out of your 401k before the age of retirement, which is either 59 and a half or 65, or leaving your job. And that's known as a triggering event. So just to summarize, if you're under the age of retirement in your plan, or you remain employed by that employer, you're likely not going to be able to get money out of your 401k plan unless you satisfy what's known as the InPlan service withdrawal rules, which generally mean you can prove that you have suffered a hardship, which we'll get to in a minute, or you have the opportunity to do a 401k loan. Believe it or not, those are really the only 2 ways you're legally able to get money out of a 401k plan in plan service withdrawal if you are not over the age of 59 and a half, or whatever the plan retirement age is, or you suffered a hardship. Now, according to most plan documents, a hardship is when you suffer immediate and heavy financial need. Now, the employer determines a participant has immediate and financial need, and it's based on plan terms and all of the relevant facts and circumstances. So it's up to the employer. Generally, obviously, consumer purchases like buying a TV or a car, generally not considered an immediate and heavy financial need. And a financial need may be immediate and heavy even if it was reasonably foreseeable or voluntarily incurred by the employee. So a distribution is automatically considered to be necessary. So these are the safe harbor rules that if you satisfy these rules, you automatically satisfy the hardship rules. The distribution isn't greater than the amount of the immediate and heavy financial need, including the amounts necessary to pay any taxes resulting from the distribution. The employees obtain all other currently available distributions permissible, including loans, okay? And the employee isn't allowed to make elected deferrals to the plan for at least 6 months after the distribution. So you're going to need to do those 3 things. So you have to have exhausted all other resources under the plan, okay? You basically need to be able to, the needs greater than the taxes that are going to be owed on the distribution. And you can't make deferrals for 6 months after you take this hardship. And here are the safe harbor hardship elements. Medical care expenses for the employee's spouse, dependents, or beneficiary. Costs directly related to the purchase of an employee's principal residence, excluding mortgage payments. So you got to fix the roof or something like that. Tuition related to educational fees and room and board expenses for the next 12 months of post-secondary education for the employer, employee's spouse, children, dependent, or beneficiaries. And I believe the CARES Act, the Secure Act has expanded that to secondary school. Payments necessary to prevent the eviction of the employee from the employee's principal residence or foreclosure on the mortgage of the residence. Funeral expenses for the employee's spouse, children, dependents, or beneficiary. Certain expenses to repair damage to the employee's principal residence. Now, the IRA does have a hardship exemption up to $10,000 for first-time homebuyers. That does not apply to 401k plans. So again, in sum, you need to show immediate and heavy financial need. You need to show that the amount you need is more than the tax that's due on the distribution. You have already taken a loan or done whatever you can to get money out of the plan and all other potential avenues. And you're going to not be able to take deferrals for the next 6 months. Then you need to show those safe harbors, whether it's medical care, principal resident issues, evictions, tuition, things like that, funeral. Those are automatic safe harbors that you can automatically get the money out. Now, if you satisfy the safe harbor definition for hardship, you can get the money out, but you still owe tax on the money. You just get to circumvent the 10% early distribution penalty. Now, this is an area that often people are misguided on, and there's definitely distortion out there in terms of how and legally what you can get out of 401k. So again, you need to be over the age of 59 and a half or the age of retirement. You need to be able to show hardship, which is immediate and heavy financial need, or satisfy those safe harbor, IRS reg hardship elements. Or you can get a loan. Now, if your 401k has a loan option, you can borrow the lesser of $50,000 or 50% of your account value. Okay, so the loan is another great way. It's a generally 5-year loan, payable at least quarterly, at an interest rate which is currently 3.25% as of summer of 2021. Now, as interest rates do go up, the prime interest rate will go up as well, so the cost of borrowing money for your plan will also go up. The nice thing of doing the loan is you get tax-free penalty-free use of the money. If you don't pay tax on it or penalty on the amount, that $50,000 or 50% of your account value, whatever's less, and you're paying yourself back, right? The 3.25% of interest is not going to Visa, MasterCard, or Wells Fargo. It's going back to your plan. So it's a really cool thing. So if you have 100K in your 401k, you can borrow 50. If you have 40 in your 401k, you can borrow 20. If you have $1 million in your 401k, you're still capped at the 50K. Now, one thing I should mention on the hardship rule is that the amount of the hardship is limited to obviously what's necessary to satisfy the need. Okay. And one other thing I should also mention is unless the employer has actual knowledge to the contrary, the employer may rely on the employee's written statements to show that they need heavy financial need. So an employer doesn't have to, go and hire a private investigator to make sure that, you actually need this money for what it's worth. The employer will generally sign a statement and the employer can take the employee at face value. Now, hardship distributions can generally only be made from the accumulated amount of elected deferrals. That's the employee elected deferral, the 19.5 or the 26, or whatever those past amounts were from prior years. Employer non-elective contributions, also called profit sharing contributions, and any matching contributions. So that's the aggregate amount. That's the sum of available 401k contributions that are eligible to be taken as a hardship. And that's it. That's really the only way you can get money in plan out of a 401k before the age of retirement. I know you may be saying, well, that's not fair. Well, again, the whole idea and the concept of the 401k under ERISA is to promote savings through retirement, and leakage is obviously a big risk to that, right? The more you're able to get your hands on that money, the more tempted you may be to pull that money out, and the thought is you're not going to be able to make up for the money you've pulled out because of the powers of deferral and compounding returns the government wants to limit what you could take out until you really, really, really need it. Either because you've already reached the age of retirement, whether it's 59 and a half or some other age based off your plan docs, or you're in severe financial hardship, which at that point, right, you have no choice. And the CARES Act allowed up to $100,000 distribution and a $100,000 loan, but that has now been passed through because of the deadline of 2020. So that is no longer an option anymore. And now you're stuck with the in-plan service withdrawal rules of age of retirement, hardship, or the 401k loan. Now you may be saying, well, I heard something called a 72T election or a substantial equal periodic payment. That does not apply to 401ks. That applies to IRAs. It also does apply to 401k funds, but from former employer 401k funds. That means if you are currently employed and have a solo 401k or a regular 401k with a current employer, you cannot use that the substantial equal periodic payment solution to grab money out. And what that SEP does is it lets you take out a percentage each year, either for 5 years or until you reach the age of 59 and a half. So it's a lesser of 5 years or reaching the age of 59 and a half. And essentially you'll be able to pull that money out without penalty, just pay tax on it. But you are also limited based off the IRS on the IRS table on what you can pull out based on the substantial equal periodic payment rules. So it's not everything. You're limited based off a schedule on what you can pull out. So again, unfortunately, that just does not apply to 401ks. Again, the IRS is super strict in terms of what you can pull out. They really want you to keep your money in, and it just doesn't apply, to 401ks. So again, it would apply 5 years or until you reach 59 and a half. Whatever comes later. I said earlier, it's whatever comes later. So under the IRA SEP rules, it's 5 years or until the account holder turns 59 and a half, whatever comes later. Just wanted to clarify that. So there it is. You hear a lot about in-plan service withdrawals. I always hear that, well, I can do an in-plan service withdrawal. Probably, if you're not retired or leave your employment, you're probably not going to be able to pull that money out unless you can show hardship or you can grab a loan. Other than that, you are not going to be able to pull money out of your 401k no matter how hard you beg and scream. If you really want that money, you can quit your job or you can wait till you're 59 and a half, because I don't think you really want to show that you have a hardship, because no one wants to be in a hardship situation where you need money for medical tuition, to starve off eviction, or to pay damages for residents. You just don't want to have to go there. It's not something you want to have to prove to your employer. So just wanted to really correct some misinformation out there. Whenever I tell clients that no, you actually aren't going to be able to access that money, I'm sorry. I always am guided by the client who is sort of shocked, and I basically have to say, okay, calm down. You've been misrepresented, and you're mistaken, and I'm super sorry, but unfortunately, these are the rules. And generally, they calm down and be like, oh, I wish I was told, because I keep hearing I can do in-plan service withdrawals and pull the money out. Yeah, I'm happy to pay tax. I just want to grab that money, and unfortunately, I need to, correct that misunderstanding. So there you go. I hope I've corrected any distortion that you may have heard about the in-plan service withdrawal rules. Unfortunately, they are pretty limited and not very flexible. Yeah. So if you're under 59 and a half for the age of retirement, can't prove your hardship, you're basically limited to a loan. And if your 401k employer does not offer a loan feature, try to get him or her to. If they don't want to, you just are stuck. There's nothing you can do unless you leave your job or wait till you reach the age of retirement. So there you go. Those are the solo 401k in-plan service withdrawal rules. And hope you got it now. So really appreciate you guys listening. Thanks so much for all your support. Hope I didn't bore you to death. I think this stuff's pretty important. So I try to keep it fun, short, and try to get you the bit of knowledge you need to become a better retirement investor. Anyways, appreciate you guys listening, watching if you're doing so on YouTube, and talk to everyone again next week.